Alrighty, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Daily Roundup webinar. I hope everybody's having a great trading session. A little irritated at myself. The way I traded the peso. I actually bought the stupid thing as it was coming down here into support, and I'm like, okay, I bought a little here, bought a little bit more there, and it was so fast moving. I put my stops right below here. I got stopped out really quick. I thought we were going to stop at the 127% extension, but instead we, bounced and at the 161% extension. That's just how I traded, taking a loss there. And what the screwed up thing about this whole situation was, I was actually short the US dollar Mexican peso at 22.65. I was short up there, and I made just a little bit. I made this little gain from here to here, and that's it. So irritated the way I traded the dollar Mex today. Just very much like a bozo. Anyway, what we are seeing is we're seeing a stabilization of recent moves. Let's first of all start off with the dollar index. The dollar index hit probably some pretty key resistance today. We remember where we're at. We hit the previous low. This is post-COVID, or this is COVID spike, pre-COVID spike low, then this post-COVID spike high. So we're basically tagging previous support should act as current resistance. It's happening. That's exactly where we stopped. Now, the question that you probably are asking is that it? Are we going to go any higher? Personally, I think we are. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop and smell the roses with the dollar. And that's probably what's happening right now. We're going to be in a consolidation type of phase. So if you take like the euro is probably going to do this. My assumption is, which I have to put my order back out from last night. The euro is probably going to do some here. I'm going to draw this for you, and then just my guesstimation, right? So I assume the euro is going to do this here and then come back down, right? Cable, probably something similar. No. Aussie, big support, right? Probably going to go, right? Kiwi, it's already starting to bounce. Back to channel, right? Right here. Something like that. Dollar Canadian. Right? Dollar Mexican peso. I was off there this morning. I thought we were going to come. I didn't know we were going to get this deep, but we're there. Dollar Swiss, big resistance here, right? Probably do something like this. US dollar Norwegian krona. Again, I'm just guessing here, but if I had to guess, what's happening right now is we're consolidating our gains in the dollar. What will obviously influence the dollar more would be what happens with equities. Like, I think equities are moving lower. Now, we just obviously had a nice rally in the highs, but what happens here? What happens if the S&P comes back down towards the lows? Well, the dollar is going to firm, right? So, again, it all hinges on the S&P, but I don't think the S&P is really going anywhere. The question I pose to you is, what good is happening in equities, right? Why should I be buying stocks right now ahead of the election? I know the Federal Reserve's tapped out. They're begging for more fiscal stimulus. Even had Powell say, earlier that we've done everything we can do, and we're basically begging for Congress to do stimulus here. So when you have a situation like that, and you have the Fed is like, look, we're pretty much at the end of our rope. And then you have, the potential of social unrest that'll be building up in the next month. again, what's good? Why should I be owning equities here? Now, that doesn't mean that equities won't eventually go higher, but I'm just talking about near term, and I think that's right now, I think that's the risk of the S&P, and therefore it'll keep a bid in the dollar, I think. So, will the euro continue to bounce here? Yeah, I mean, it might bounce back to like 117, but I think you got to use, rallies back up to 117 as opportunities to be on the short side of the euro. That's what I would think. If we can even get there, but that would be my view. The dollar Canadian is a great example because I'm long, so I'm watching it really carefully. And we just whacked a bunch of stops. People that were long, maybe chasing it over the last 24 hours, their stops just got stopped. They just got stopped out. So does that loosen up the ability for the dollar to Canadian to rally back, to new highs? It possibly, so I think those things that's happening. And you see like gold's starting to find some levels where people are interested. Same with silver. I'm going to let you know right now, I am a buyer at 20. So, but you take people like Stelios, who's an extremely talented silver buyer. He strategically buys longer term at certain spots. He was a buyer this morning in European trade down at 21, below 22. I think he bought it like 21, like near the lows, like 21.80 or something like that. I mean, he got a great price, right? But that doesn't mean that's going to be the low, but he's now established, he's finding value down here. And so the point that I'm trying to make is I think there is value proposition down here in silver, down at these levels. Gold, probably somewhere in this vicinity is the value play for gold. But the reason why I'm pointing that out is because we are going to get into a situation where people are starting to find value in things now that they've moved so much, whether it's buying the euro down below 117, or selling the dollar Canadian above 134, things like that, buying the cable down at 127. Now I do have to point out that I think the pound is actually not performing too well. Let me go over to the daily chart. We're sitting on the 200-day moving average. We're barely budging here. We're barely bouncing. So, then I just read and I was trying to confirm with everybody in the chat room. I'm like, the UK virus number, is that the highest that the UK has had since COVID started? And people are like, yeah, cases have been on the rise. That's scary, because that's another reason why people might not be so attracted to the cable is one, but stocks or risk on in general, right? Those types of things. So anyway, just some food for thought. Jason said, Blake, the Aussie dollar moved up 1,700 pips from March lows. Wouldn't it be normal to expect at least an 800 pip drop with such a large move up? Seems like these pairs will normally test their 50% fib. Jason, I think that's a pretty, I don't want to say that's a realistic expectation. I think that's a lofty expectation. First of all, let me start off by saying I am an Aussie bull. So if that can frame this conversation and help you understand where I'm coming from, that's where I want you to think from that point of view. Do I think that we can get a 38% retracement? Yes, I do. So a 38% retracement of the Aussie comes down to 68 cents, roughly. So do I think that that's potentially where we go? Yeah, I do. And I do think that inflation is going to be an issue. I do think that the Fed is going to be finally successful at engineering some inflationary pressures. So I do want to be long the Aussie as a result. But do I want to buy it right now? No, I'm more interested as we approach the 200-day moving average. But but hopefully that makes sense. So you're welcome, Jason. I hope that that helps you out. And I believe that if I'm right with the Aussie, this is a capitulation type of move thanks to COVID. So this created probably a longer term bottom. So now looking at it, I want to, if I just draw this out for you, and then I'll let you guys go. I think we shouldn't see those levels again. So, a move like this is probably what I'm more looking for, unless, we go completely tits up in the market. And, I could be, but I think an entry point somewhere down here for longs is what I'm going to be looking for in the future personally. And I hope that helps you out in your thinking, or but that also means in the near term, I do think that the Aussie could suffer a little bit here, because I actually believe that stocks are coming down towards their 200-day moving average, not necessarily right now, but in the coming weeks. I think the S&P is going to be, even though we're well off of it right now, I think we're going to be trading back down towards 3,100. So as a result, it's going to bring in some Aussie weakness in the near term. So again, I hope that helps you out. And guys, I know I don't have to mention this, but man, if you haven't registered for the Trader Summit, make sure you do so. It starts tomorrow. I'm not ready for this. I've got to comb my hair. I'm not ready from a whole weekend of combing my hair and not wearing a hat. Steven says, Blake, glad to be a new member. Love what you guys do. Explains a lot. Oh, thanks, Steven. I appreciate it. Emra asked about Nat Gas. I'll look at Nat Gas. I don't trade it, but I'll look at it. And then I'm going to roll out of here. Nat Gas. Oh, it looks a little stronger. Maybe this is kind of giving you that inflationary look, right? Boom. Above 3, it's pretty bullish, right? All right, guys. Hey, I'm out. Have a great one. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And thanks for the support with ForexAnalytix. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the chat rooms. All right. Bye, guys.